Hello, everyone. I'm wearing this scarf on June 15th because I fucking love it. That's why I'm wearing this scarf, because I have awesome viewers. I love all of them. It's really nice to have. It's just really nice to have a good audience. I don't like calling them viewers. It's like, I don't know. I don't like to label, but an audience. I think an audience is great. And it's really cool to have those interactions. You know what I mean? Like, you get to know people. I'm all for that. Like, on the surface, I could be like, oh, yeah, well, I don't really like speaking to people much out in public. But what's interesting is the more you talk with people, the more you learn about them. And that's where you form a bond with them. And that's what I remember mostly from me being a personal trainer. I mean, it was my job. I was there to help improve their lives to different extents. They want to feel better about themselves, which that's what it all boils down to, especially with working out. Like, yeah, you want to lose weight, you want to eat better, but it mostly boils down to wanting to feel better as a person. And, there's multiple ways to go about doing that. Like, you can improve the quality of your life. Like, if you don't like your job, if possible, get another one. You're in a wrong group of people, meet better people. Uh, it, it's, it's a very broad scope of a conversation, but it all boils down to looking to be a better person. And when I was a trainer, again, it was my job, but I never looked at it as a job. I always looked at it as helping people. And that is definitely the reason why I had the most retention out of anybody. We went through a lot of trainers. It was a constant revolving door with the way they started running things. I mean, when I first started working there, I was an opener in the East Norwalk facility on East Avenue, right off exit 16. And I lived in New Haven at the time. And I had to open a club at 5 a.m. So that means, or that meant, past tense, was that I had to be up like 3:30 in an ungodly hour, which there's a reason why I'm wearing a 37% awake shirt today. This is a shirt I wear when I go out because it's nicer, but I had to wear this today. So I was up at an ungodly hour, like 3:40 in the morning. I would get to the gym at like 4:50, 4:45. Turn the lights on, turn on the radio, uh, start up the computers for our register. I remember it as if it was yesterday, and our check-in system, and make sure it was neat, tidied up, and all that stuff. And the same people would come in every day. It was a quieter club, but it was a good level of camaraderie. I knew all the members. Again, it was a super small club. It was known as an express club because in East Norwalk, it's right on a train station. So let's just say if this monitor here, my Xbox monitor, not my PC/OBS monitor, but the one I face when I play on console, was a check-in system. And lobby, it was a nice round desk, uh, really cool setup, and it was 3 stories too. So the first story was the lobby and the group aerobics room, and the ladies' locker room and our offices. And then on the second level, or the second floor, was the free weight area and some machines, mostly free weight machines. Like, you have an isolated chest press where you have to load the plates on the side. In the men's locker room. And on the third story was ancillary equipment, like, weighted equipment. So if you wanted to do a chest press, you now have the stack of weights with the pin. No free weights on the third floor. And all the cardio equipment, which was cool because it looked out East Avenue, like you could see a good amount. And the spin room was up there too. And it was known as the Express Club because we were right next to the train station. So, when I started working as a trainer, or I'm sorry, as an opener there, they hired the Greg DiNatal. I'm indifferent on him. He's a great guy, but management just ran him to the. It was such a shame. He was a delightful human being who held himself back due to red tape. I will always remember Greg DiNatal as an awesome dude. So, and getting to my point is, I was an opener for about a year and a half, and then we had John Davies, who is more of an how can entrepreneur? Am I saying that the right way? But he was a businessman, and he got into personal training, and his personality was excellent. And Greg D says, "Yo, Sai, want to be a trainer? We're gonna have a workshop actually at your club, and when you get certified, I'm sorry, after the lecture, we're gonna hire you because that will count as a certification." So I wasn't necessarily certified, but I knew my shit. So, I worked as a trainer at the Milford Fitness Edge for about 4 years, and I was wrongfully fired. But that's not the point of this. The point of this was I started getting clients and I started to get to know them. And an interesting thing started happening because let's just say I walk up to a random person who's working out and I'm like, hey, you should be doing this. You should be doing that. Work with me. It costs this much. Like the person's going to be apprehensive and be like, fuck you, dude. Like, how dare you come up to me and like tell me what I'm doing? Like, you should work yourself into that. But that's the way they wanted us to approach people. And I hated that. But the way the system was structured is whenever somebody got a membership, they would get an F1 and an F2 fitness appointment. Eventually, we just worked with, we called it an F1, but we only got one. That's when we converted to Edge, not the Fitness Edge. That's another story. But we had 2 appointments to convince, and I don't like using that term, but we had 2 sessions to wow and convince somebody train with us. And even though my conversion, they looked at numbers way too much, and I hated that paradigm. On one hand, you were looking to genuinely help people, at least in my stance. But on the other hand, it was a numbers game, and I never followed the numbers game. They're like, you need to. We had to hit $7,500 a month. Quick note on that was we had our recurring billing clients, our monthly clients, as they were known as, and then we had package clients. So either somebody would say, hey, I really like size style. I'm going to work monthly once a week. It was like $70 a session, so do the math. Or if you were like, I really like Psy, but I don't want to commit, so I'm going to do 10 sessions. And then you would try and book them out. I was always like once a week. If you want to up that, go ahead, but we need to get you started. So with all those elements in the equation, I started noticing that with the way I approach training, and you'll see where I'm going with this, the way I approached personal training was I got to know people. I would always talk with them. I would always make sure to set up their routine based off of what their goals were. Somebody could just come in and be like, yeah, I want to lose weight. And you just give them like a cookie cutter routine. I personalized everything. And I noticed through time in my 4 years there that if you took all of my monthly clients, I was averaging about a 27-hour work week. You didn't have a set schedule. Like you had a set time bracket. So I was 5 a.m. to 1 p.m., 5 a to 1 p.m. I actually opened a club a lot too, which was great. They gave me a key and everything. It was great, especially during holidays. Like you could work out with the gym empty. It was fantastic. My favorite job ever. Like my personal favorite job will always be my training job. So I noticed that people stuck around because we formed a really tight bond that was beyond a friendship. And it was great, especially around holidays, man. Oh my God. Like Debbie Lalonde, Courtney Paterna, John Swing, Mario Pasquini, they'd all bring me like, gift cards and like a lot of the ladies baked, like Debbie baked, Courtney baked. They'd bring me cookies and bread. I never looked at it as a means like, hey, I'm doing a good job. I'm going to get rewarded for it. I looked at that as a means that they were thankful for what I did for their lives. I remember this one woman, Sandy Campanelli. Like I remember everybody. She's like, yo, dude, I have to thank you so much. I remember before I started training with you, like it hurt to like put my arm overhead just to grab dishes out of my cabinet. Opening the, because our dinner dish, it hurt opening the cupboard and grabbing like dishes. My shoulders are sore. Now with you, man, I feel better. Shoulders aren't hurting anymore. And we didn't look at it as training sessions. It was more like a therapy session because people would open up to me and talk about stuff like, oh, my husband, this and that. Like it was never anything like facetious or like, fuck this, fuck my husband, I'm getting a divorce. It was never like that. I had a few people like, oh, well, my husband is lazy, like Don Gankin, like who's actually an aunt of Chris Baldiga, who I work with. I really hope this gets out to them. I like to talk to them, man. I really miss everybody. And this was back in like 2007. Like it's like 15 plus years ago. But I really took a lot of pride in the fact that people, when you get to know them, they open up to you. And I found that really important. I never use that against anybody. Somebody would tell me something really personal, like never go around and say, oh man, I worked with this client, they were a fucking pain in the ass. I fucking hate training such and such. Like I never had that. I never had that. I always spoke very highly of everybody. I went to birthday parties. I went to like cookouts and oh man, it was. And with all of that said, with that camaraderie and that friendship you build, same thing translates into streaming. Now, even though it's not as direct, it's a little more indirect because I am speaking to everybody through my webcam here, my microphone up top. I'm projecting my personality out. And when your personalities vibe, the sky's the limit because just like personal training, you get to know people and you establish friendships. And even though, you know, people don't stop in every day here, they still come on by, even just to say hello. Like I had a couple of people yesterday. It was fucking awesome. They're like, "Yo, Sai, man, look, I just wanted to come in and say hello. Like I'm streaming myself right now, and I got to go to work afterwards." Or even Phantom, who goes by Eagle Alia, which that name is still weird to me. Um, he stopped in a couple of days ago. He's like, "Yo, Sai, what's up, man? Like, I've been busy with the kiddos, but I've been playing Tears of the Kingdom. Like, that means a lot to me, and I value all of this. Even though I'm not where I want to be with my audience numbers, again, I never look at it as a numbers game, but there are days where I just look at like the amount of views I'm getting on YouTube, the amount of viewers I have on average here on the channel. Like, on one hand, it really sucks, and from all the experience I've had in doing this, if you let that get the better of you, it will bring you down. It will. I've had days where I I had a very hard time hitting the go live. And there are some days where I wouldn't go as far to say dread hitting the live button, but I'm human. We're all human. We all have our good days and we all have our bad days. And there are days where I'm just like, ugh, and like nobody's here. Maybe one person, it's a bot or something. Like I got a spam message. Fuck. But I'll also have days where it's the same scenario where I'm like, it's like I hit the live button. I'm like, as soon as the screen comes, right? And then like people will just stop on in and say hello, and we'll have excellent conversation. Like yesterday's stream, X Boy was here, and interesting because a lot of people stop on in. They're from other countries. Like I had a lot of people come in from like South America, like Brazil, and like Brazil, like Central and South America. People from all over the United States. People from Canada. Some people from like Europe and all that shit. Like Lurk a lot, who's an awesome regular of mine. He's from the UK. It's really cool. And like even Buster, big old Billy, he goes by that. But he started as Buster when he first came out. I always remember. He stops in sometimes, and he's in the UK. He's busier now. He has a job, and he's going to like high school. I don't know I forget what the equivalent of high school is. Even though everybody isn't here every day, which I would love to have that. What I get out of it is people take time out of their day to come on by and say hello for either a very brief or extended period. And that is awesome. And that's when I know, putting all the bullshit and politics that come with streaming aside, I know I am doing a good job because people want to be here. And that's awesome. And just like with personal training, where holidays, birthdays, I would get like gift cards to Starbucks or like a $50 Best Buy gift card. Like that was awesome. Or like Debbie Lalonde would come in with cookies. Or like even when I was an opener years later, back at the same club, like Scott, he'd come on in and he'd give me pierogies that he made. Just amazing stuff. And I love that. And the fact that like I get the same thing here. I got an awesome scarf out of it in my little my tiny Discord community, which is steadily, like slowly but steadily growing. It's full of great people. They share their stuff. Like again, Lurk a lot. Not to like be teacher's pet with him, but he's a great example because he's like, hey man, I just got a 3D printer and I'm doing all this really cool shit. Like I did a Supergirl and I did a 2B from Nier Automata, and that's really cool to see because we have these bonds due to a friendship, due to the fact that we share interests with gaming, and I call it gamer speak. It's and that's why I call it retro and reminisce as well. Whenever I play older games that we all love, I call it retro and reminisce because it brings people together. And even though we have played the same game, and I talk about this all the time, even though like I've experienced Halo Reach and I have memories associated with Halo Reach, even better, the original Halo. I always talk about how I did a fuck ton of like LAN parties and every weekend we'd play Halo together. It's fan fucking town. And that's my memory of Halo that I hold very dear. I'm a huge Bungie fan, especially like I have Halo and Destiny stuff all over the place. And I look at these figures, and it just brings me back to that time. It quantifies that slice of time in my life that I will always look back on fondly. And that's my takeaway from Halo. And somebody else could come on and be like, "Oh, dude, man, I remember like, playing at a tournament or like going to like a 32 person LAN party." And like it's great because they'll reminisce about it a little differently than me, even though the conversation is somewhat the same, right? Just it's so great. And that's what makes streaming awesome, is just chatting with people and going back to where I started, getting to know them, because you get awesome stuff like this and you forge friendships, and they come on back, and it's just means the world to me, man. It really does. Like people who don't get it will say, "Oh, that's cheesy, blah blah blah," but that ideology could apply everywhere. Your job, you have good friends, you met people at like, through school, and you're still talking to them today. So it's very important to me, and I think everybody could. I know everybody. I should say. That's what makes streaming awesome. That's why I love what I do, man. Like stressful points and periods be damned. Like that's why I'm here 6 days a week doing what I do. Love doing. And that's why it pains me sometimes that I don't have as many people here as I'd like to have, because when you don't talk to people, it feels like it stifles your passion. You know, it stifles that love that you have, and you can't communicate that. That to me is the worst. Communication is very important, whether friends or family or whatever. Communication is key, because if you're not talking about like important stuff, it's just going to bottle up and fester. I know I'm kind of spinning my wheels here, but you get the idea. That's important to me, man. It really is. That's why I love doing what I do. I got to post this monologue to you. Important stuff. It really is. That's why I love doing what I do. And on the other hand, what I don't love is I don't think I suffer from insomnia. See where I'm going with this? I'm gonna showcase my T-shirt. It says 37% awake. The lady got me this when she went to Kuwait. I think earlier this year or last year. This is how I feel today. Woke up at 10 o'clock yesterday. It was like 10:15. I rolled out of bed. Wednesday is my off day from the gym. And I had a good day. And then from my awesome Destiny community, or clan that I'm a part of, Rebels Without Applause. Mad shout out to S3 Plan, Hefty, and Stasis. Great people. In the community yesterday, right after the stream, they're like, "Hey man, anyone up for a Vault of Glass challenge run?" And I'm like, enticing. So, on my phone, Discording. What time? They're like, "Well, like 8 o'clock." And then like all the like hesitancy kicked in. I'm like, "Oh no, it's such and such." But I've raided with these guys before, and we did Deepstone Crypt. And S3 Plan is a fucking legend, dude. Like he's like the ringmaster of raiding. Like he just knows everything. Like do this, do that, Sai go here, Hefty go there. And I played PvP with Hefty and Stasis. Stasis complains a bit, but he's a cool dude. He's like, "Fuck this game." And in my mind, I'm like, "Dude, like, you don't like it, stop playing the damn thing." But that's how Destiny is. It's give and take, right? But I'm like, you know what? Let's raid. And we started last night at 9:15, and it went till about 11 o'clock, because like I haven't run Vault of Glass since it first came out in Destiny 2. I raided the shit out of it in D1 with all my bros. Again, the crowd I played Halo with, IRL besties, known for like 20 plus years. And I am conditioned to just playing with my besties. So whenever everyone's like, "You want to raid?" I'm a little optimistically hesitant. But this clan is awesome, and we were at it took about an hour and 15 minutes, but we were like the 50-minute mark. And I'm like, this ain't going so bad. And S3 was like, "Dude, what the fuck are you talking about? This is terrible." And I'm like, wow. Like, we should have ran it in about 40 minutes. But I digress. It was an amazing experience. So needless to say, it was about 11:15 last night after I cash out and, upgrade my weapons and, make sure I have transmog for my Vault of Glass full set. Really happy about. I got sucked into Tears of the Kingdom for about a half an hour because I was trying out some new mods that came out on Game Banana. And the next thing I know, it's like 12:15. I gotta get to bed. I'm usually up at like 4:15 to go to the gym. I like being at the gym early. Our gym opens at 3:30 in the morning, by the way. Mike is there way early, and there's a small group of people who are there regularly. So it's like 12:15. I roll into bed, and I'm like, I gotta sleep. My alarm is gonna go off in exactly 4 hours. So I think for a second. I'm like, well, let me set it for 5:45. I put my phone aside on my dresser, turn into bed. I cuddle with this guy. He's my chin rest. I have no problem admitting him and Brain. They're always next to me, guys. And my lady got me these when we first met. Say hi, Brain. So I'm laying in bed, and the next thing I know, an hour goes by, and I'm like, I'm not sleeping tonight. So I pulled an all nighter, hence the shirt, 37% awake, which is true. I'd say it's more like 25, but I'm amped up on caffeine and nicotine right now. So I need all the help I could get. So I still worked out this morning, and at the time of me saying this, I have been up for 27 hours. This happens when I wake up late. Oh my God, I've been monologuing for 21 minutes and 44 seconds. I'm fine with that. But yeah, I am pulling an all-nighter, and I'm probably going to end up falling asleep around 7 o'clock tonight, be up tomorrow morning for chest day. So yeah, today we are playing Halo Reach. I have a nice light fan on the side, so it keeps me cool. I'm wearing the scarf because I love this fucking thing. I'm going to be wearing this a lot in the winter. I'll wear this on stream here and there. But yeah, I'm pulling off of an all-nighter right. And I don't think I suffer from insomnia, but quickly before we unpause here, you feel weird when you don't sleep. Like, you feel like your body wants to go to bed and your mind associates with that, but it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon and your body feels like it's from your core up to your head, it feels like you're trying to slowly float up and elevate, but somebody is pressing down with their hands on your shoulders with their chin on the top center of you. It's weird. It's like Fight Club. When you suffer from insomnia, everything feels like a copy of a copy of a copy. That is very true. I don't suffer from insomnia, but if my day starts later, it pushes my sleep up, and that leads me to not sleep. So, closing out with this opening monologue, I love what I do, even though it's very taxing sometimes. But I could have been like, you know what? I'm not going to stream today. I'm tired. I don't feel like dealing with anybody. I can't do that to my audience or anybody watching. I can't do that. So here we are with Halo Reach.